Hello, everybody, and welcome back to episode 4 of A Deck of All Jacks. I'm your host, Peter, and I have today with me my friend Rhodes. Say hi, Rhodes.
Hello.
And we are talking about movies today.
Yeah, I'm not really, despite this being about a deck of all jacks, I'm not really a master of it, but I thought it'd be fun to try to convince you to do a media podcast instead.
Well, you don't need to be a king, you just need to be a jack. That's all we need here.
Okay.
If you were to guess, how many movies do you think you've ever seen in your whole life, Rhodes?
I don't know. Like, unique movies, maybe 100. That might be lowballing it.
That's probably lowballing it.
I don't know. It's hard to say, though.
You're probably in the multi-hundreds at least. I feel like anybody is.
Maybe, but, like, I don't even know if I can remember that many. Like, if you asked me to summarize it, I'd probably forget. Like, seeing them as a kid, I don't think counts.
Certainly.
Totally forget.
Well, I think you've still seen the movie if you're a kid.
Yeah, but...
I didn't say how many movies do you remember. I just said how many movies have you ever like witnessed in your life.
Yeah, probably hundreds.
Probably hundreds. I mean, we probably see just as average Americans, 1 to 2 movies a week, times 50, times 20. You do the math at home.
But I haven't like watched anything that's come out recently. I think the last thing I saw in theaters was Nosferatu.
That was a long time ago.
That was like a year ago.
That was a while ago. I mean, I watched Supergirl like 2 weeks ago. It was not that great. I don't recommend it. We actually talked about Supergirl in episode 1.
That did worse than Morbius.
It did.
Yeah, with its
really
box
did.
office.
That's saying a lot. Because even Supergirl wasn't even a meme. It was just a bad movie.
Yeah.
So we are here today, though, to not talk about bad movies, but to talk about great movies. We actually are going to talk about our top 5 movies of all time. We each collected a list of our top 5 favorite movies, each one of us. We either have seen them together, just like showing each other the movies, or for a few of these, for each of us, we hadn't seen them before. And so in preparation as homework for this episode, Rhodes and I each watched each other's movies so that we had seen all 5 of the other person's top 5 movies. And we're just going to go through them one by one. We'll do we'll do Rhodes' number 5, then my number 5, 4, 4, 3, 3, etc., etc. For you guys at home, hopefully you've seen these movies. They kind of range. My movies are a lot more recent. Mine are actually all within the last 20 years. I think yours are all more than 20 years old, actually.
I think that the newest is 2000s. I think I have like 2 2000 ones that came out in 2000.
Yeah. But we won't spoil what they are yet. But without further ado, let us get into our first movie. What is your number 5 movie that you put on this list, Rhodes, and why do you like it?
Okay, number 5 was pretty flexible. There's a couple honorable mentions, but I chose American Psycho, which I think there's like a couple elephants in the room that you have to discuss.
Yes.
One is just the plot in terms of whether what happened or not.
Of course.
But first, I guess, should we just give like an elevator pitch of the movie?
Yes, elevator pitch it. Don't give spoilers, but give the basic,
Okay,
line.
It follows Patrick Bateman, who works on Wall Street, and it's pretty much, it starts out, it's just a critique of sort of the Wall Street elites and the people that make money doing that, but it also focuses, he has a insatiable need to murder, so it follows his life as a Wall Street trader and also a murderer.
Yeah, so it's calling essentially finance bros like psychopaths.
Well, a little bit.
Yeah.
So it does, because it does have some of that like surface level critique. You know, like I think one line that stood out to you when we were watching it was I'm into murders and executions, and like the lady goes mergers and executions or acquisitions.
Yeah.
And for me, I don't think that's as much criticism. I mean, it is, like saying, oh, Wall Street, they're a bunch of murderers. But I think it's more so just like saying how dumb that model is, because then he lures her back and kills her, right?
Yeah.
So
he kills a lot of women in that movie.
He does, and men.
I guess we do have to spoil.
Well, no, because that's the elevator. We're not gonna.
Sure, but also we do want to discuss like the major thing of the movie, which would be a spoiler, right?
Yeah, no, I think that the elevator pitch. We should probably clarify that before, but after the elevator pitch, all bets are off.
Okay. Yeah, after elevator pitch, spoilers abound. I'm time-stamping all 10 of the movies we talk about, so you can always skip if you're very anxious to watch a movie that came out 26 years ago.
Because some of yours, all of them you can't really talk about without getting to spoilers. But but I think, one part I enjoy about it a lot is that I think the critiques, even though it's like specifically a Wall Street person, it applies to a lot of like elites today, like Hollywood, tech, people who've made their money through tech, politicians, like that, you could probably apply a lot of those critiques to them. Like one thing that stands out to me is at the dinner scene when Bateman is talking about how important standing up for the marginalized are, and helping the homeless and traditional values. Yeah. Meanwhile, he's telling the homeless how much he hates them, murdering them. And, you know,
it's a very intense movie. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, that's the point though, right? Is how hypocritical they are, which isn't like, I'd say how do you say it? Like the cutting critique, because I think the cutting critique are the comedy scenes where they're so obsessed over the business card and the font where you couldn't even tell the difference of it.
Yeah.
Or where you have this whole monologue where Patrick is putting on all these skin things so he doesn't get wrinkles, and he says, "You might see Patrick Bateman, but I'm an idea." And there it's meant as a joke. It's not like the Joker saying I'm an idea in the Suicide Squad, but it's like actually meant you're supposed to laugh at the character because of how ridiculous he is.
Yeah, the movie, especially towards the start, has more kind of laugh lines, more comedic scenes. Then by the end it very much devolves. But yeah, I think if the movie were made nowadays, they maybe would do a tech bro. Or maybe a finance bro, or there's a lot of actually people on Wall Street nowadays that are both. But by the end of the movie, there's less of the laughter lines and more so the final sort of twist. Do you want to get into that?
I'd say that to me, some of the funny stuff is at the end. Like the first time I saw it, and the scene that was burnt into my mind is when he holds the cat up and it says, "Feed me a stray cat," and then he's like running down the alley, shoots like 2 bullets, and then the police cars explode. Well, he shoots more than that. Yeah. But like, just because of how absurd it gets to is why one of the reasons that I find it hilarious.
Absurd? Are you telling me that none of the movie might actually be real?
Okay, well, the funny thing about that was like 2 days ago I was talking to another friend about it, and he was convinced by the ending that it was real. And the scene that stood out to him was when he goes to the apartment and everything's cleaned up at Jared Leto. I forget the actor or the character.
Jared Leto's guy.
Yeah, Jared Leto's character. But when he goes there and everything's cleaned up, that like convinced him that it's real and how messed up it is that they just, do that.
We should also let you all know that many of these movies are rated R for different reasons. American Psycho definitely for sex and violence. I think probably
Reservoir Dogs
we shouldn't say too many names. Reservoir Dogs is on one of our lists. Reservoir Dogs, multiple other movies might be rated R as well.
Probably all of mine are rated R.
Yours might be.
I don't know if any of
mine number 2 might be.
Yeah, one of them is.
Yeah.
But for this list, this is just unrelated. But I try to pick different directors for mine because there's one when we get to one movie, I'll talk about the director. But there's one where I could have put another movie in his slot. But that's besides the point. So
you very much would agree that the Patrick Bateman character is insane the whole movie.
He's insane, but whether it happened or not, I think that's and the director has said as much in the book too. I think that it's based off of is like trying to leave it open ended. But I think part of the beauty of it, but also the problem why the first time I saw it, I also thought it was all in his head, is because you're seeing a lot of it through Bateman's eyes. Yeah, and like one of the film elements that I think is impressive is impressive might be the wrong word, but when Willem Dafoe is interrogating the detective Campbell, I think his name is, Bateman, they filmed it 3 different times, I've heard, and it looks like it. But once where he's convinced Bateman's guilty, once where he thinks he's innocent, and once where he's not quite sure he's feeling it out, and they intersplice it together. So to me, that creates a scene where you're seeing it through Bateman's eyes because he's probably on, how many different drugs and already has his mental issues. And that's why I think they do a great job of showing you how weird the world looks through it, but that kind of makes it feel like it's all a dream.
Well, perhaps some of it's real and some of it's not, because the detail that really sticks out to me is when he goes to the apartment that was Jared Leto's apartment, and he asks her, "Oh, is this my friend's apartment?" And she says, "No, it's up for sale." She seems pretty determined that this was not his apartment, and not even that it isn't currently, because it is on sale by the time Patrick Bateman gets there. But it's just, she doesn't react to that. She doesn't say, "Oh, it was your friend's apartment and now it's not." Seems like it being Jared Leto's apartment was completely in his head. The one scene that we basically have confirmed that is real, though, is at the end when the assistant to Patrick Bateman opens up his notebook, and she sees all these very grotesque, sexual, murderous drawings. And that very much is played off as very real, right?
Well, and also with the Jared Leto thing, the one lawyer acknowledges that he went and had lunch in London with him like 3 times, which was something that Bateman was like a cover story, something he made up. So either the lawyer's in on it and was covering it up, which would be consistent, or he's taking real details and putting that into his fantasies.
Yeah.
But
Patrick Bateman is taking the fact that he went to London and in his head is playing that as, well, that's just his excuse for me murdering him.
Yeah.
Even though it never happened.
But so I think it's pretty open-ended. But one trend I noticed is that 2 of the other movies I think have open-ended interpretations. But we'll get to that. But yeah.
I put, for American Psycho, I also put that as number 5 out of the 5 that you showed me. I thought it was like obviously a very well done movie. You very much question whether or not what happened in the actual film was real or not. But well, one thing is I don't too much like Christian Bale's delivery of the character.
Really?
And I think, you could argue, well, it's because he's supposed to be a psychopath, and so he's supposed to not be very emotional. But I just, like, I don't know if an actor should be impressive for, like, not acting almost. Because he's being, like, extremely... like mundane, just like
completely monotone, not acknowledging that anything.
Yeah.
Really, but and I think that was one of the things, because I think it was a director I was reading, like an interview a long time ago, but people were like surprised that she cast Christian Bale, and they thought he was doing a horrible job.
Yeah.
Or maybe Christian Bale said that in like an interview or something, but yeah, they thought like, this guy, why would you hire him? He's doing a horrible job, and I think it's good for the movie, but. I guess, I wouldn't say it's great acting.
Yeah.
Per se, but
Hike a little closer.
Oh, yeah. But yeah.
Yeah, I do love the critique of the finance bro. It's very much also like sort of a 1980s critique as well, especially with the final scene of basically comparing Patrick Bateman to Ronald Reagan.
Yeah, I think it's more, for me, like dumb fun, because to me, I look at this as in my... whole list. I'm like, this is a nice comedy that you can enjoy, which I know seems a little off, but like to me, I just find it like a fun.
It is very
funny, well, not fun, but yeah, just like a good comedy to laugh to. Though there are some more adult subject matter that creep in between it compared to maybe a more straight up one.
And the final thing is that which characters call him what, because some characters call him a different name based on the guy that he looks like, and other characters call him Bateman.
Yeah, I forget the name, but we never see that character, right?
I think we see him once with the business card scene. Okay. He shows up at the start, and Patrick's like, well, everyone says I look just like that guy, even though I don't.
I have a better haircut, slightly better.
Yeah, exactly. And so the fact that some characters call him that and some don't, that seems to be real to me, because he says it's mistaken identity. It could also be fake, where he kind of like is assuming an alter ego as part of the fantasy, but that part seems to be real. The murders, it seems like some are real and some are dramatized, like the whole police car blowing up, right?
Yeah. So. Oh, I have to mention too, great suspenseful scene with when he invites the secretary over to his apartment, and he's about to murder her. Then he gets a call from his fiance, and as far as the secretary knows, he's not continuing on the night with her because he doesn't want to cheat on his secretary and hurt her, but for him, he's fighting the urge to murder. Yeah. But that scene is very good. Yeah. And it wouldn't be something you'd expect for something that's more of just like a comedy. Yeah. Kind of.
Yeah, there are definitely parts I had to look away from, partially violence, and then also just a lot of very sexual material. Shall we go into my number 5?
Sure.
Which is a very different direction. My number 5 was Speed Racer 2008, which I love as a movie. Oh my gosh. Speed Racer 2008 is a movie directed by the same directors that made The Matrix, but in a very opposite direction, but also the same genius, I would argue, as well, where it's taking the Japanese cartoon Speed Racer and is essentially, what I would argue, is turning the spirit of the anime into a live action / like CGI masterpiece, where it takes all the silliness of the original anime and plays it off straight as if that the world just is that silly in the real world of the movie, and it's crazy and bonkers, and we love it and we fully embrace it. The movie, the simple plot is like Speed Racer needs to win the races that he needs to in order for the big evil corporation to lose and for independent racing to go strong. That's essentially the movie. It's not too much focused on the plot. What I think the strength of the movie is in somewhat the the characters and the spirit of the movie, but essentially it's the aesthetics, it's the computer animation. What the movie I think does the most masterfully is it takes a very 2000s aesthetic, it pumps it up to 10, pumps it up to 11, and makes it actually look pretty cohesive. So in the 2000s, you had a strong increase in CGI being used in movies. There was a lot of really new technology emerging. So you had a lot of people very enthusiastic about all these cool things you could do in the movies with the CGI. So you see this in certain movies, like you see this with the Spy Kid movies, you see this with like Shark Boy and Lava Girl, you see this in like some music videos at the time where they're just like, they want to make things look futuristic and cool and bubbly with like all these cool practical CGI effects. And what Speed Racer does is it says, what if the whole world lived by the logic of these? And so like the spatial dimensions of the world, the way that things are animated and the way that things move doesn't really, it's not supposed to look realistic. It's not supposed to be realistic CGI. It's supposed to be CGI that is its own style, and that the world basically operates under the logic of CGI. So instead of CGI operating under the logic of our world, like you would see in most Hollywood movies, it's actually that the world operates under the logic of CGI. Things are weird, things are wacky, things move at the pace of that. And like there's also like plot and characters are really fun. Like I love John Goodman's performance in that movie. I love the way that Speed Racer and Trixie's dynamic goes. It's also very much a movie that very much obviously doesn't take itself seriously, and even does that with some of the characters. I mean, the little brother and his monkey are like pretty important players in the movie.
Really quick, that little brother, yeah. I was convinced when I was watching it that was John Goodman's like actual kid, because it's like 1-to-1.
I would believe that.
The other two, though,
John Goodman plays the dad, Speed Racer's dad. The movie has some like actual plot twists that I don't really need to get into that genuinely surprised me. It's also the most, and this is maybe the greatest part of the movie, period, is it's extremely colorful, flashing lights. I mean, there's full on like it's a kaleidoscope of a movie. It truly is. Yeah. And it's
especially the racing, like the Grand Prix racing scene.
Grand Prix racing
so
scene.
Much like like good CGI, like stylized, not like it's trying to be real and it looks off, but it's all like you're saying, it's all like that, so it looks beautiful in a weird way. But like it also feels like I'm on a trip.
Which what I would argue is for anyone who has seen like the Spider-Verse movies, Into and Across the Spider-Verse, what those movies do, it takes the the drawing of comic books and creates an authentic animation form out of that, and the movie plays by the logic of comic book logic. If you've seen that, this only really makes sense if you've seen those movies. But then what Speed Racer does, I think it does that, but with CGI, right? Speed Racer didn't do well at the time. It has since developed a cult following. But what did you think of Speed Racer?
I really enjoyed it. I think it's a basic story, or not story, but a basic like sort of theme and moral, where it's the kid with the bright eyes comes to the real world, learns that it's all fixed and that it's messed up, but then instead of losing hope and falling into that, he prevails and fights and against those who are telling him to just kind of give in to join the fixed races, and then ends up winning the day. Like it's a simple kind of thing about idealism winning, but it's nice. It's a good story.
What did you think of the animation, the colors?
I liked it, though. It was like, if you have epilepsy, you better be careful.
Oh, yeah. Do not watch it if you have epilepsy.
It totally, for me, it was like, wow. But particularly like the end where there's like the two cars that are trying to crush him at the finish line.
That's the best part. Yeah.
It's the best part, but there's just like the floor is coming up and it's a lot of colors, but it's great. Because I think it doesn't stand out, especially but like the intro when they're in the garage or at school, it's all very bright and like the real world parts that I don't think they probably used any animation for that part, but they turned it up so it fits in with the rest of it, which is why it works.
If anyone's ever seen the kids show Lazy Town, that also is the same aesthetic of like the weird like comparison. Yeah. Like instead of actually driving the car from point A to point B, what if we like if we keep the actual car there, but we kind of CGI its movement? It's very strange. I actually got to see Speed Racer in theaters recently.
Really?
Yeah, because it has such a cult following. They'll just like on a random Wednesday be like, we're just going to show Speed Racer at like Harkins. And so I went to, I believe either Harkins or an AMC like a few weeks ago, and I just watched it with a buddy, and it's really cool on the big screen.
Yeah, I bet. That'd be cool. Was there a 3D version ever? That'd be fun to watch.
I'm sure there was. That was very much the time of 3D, right?
2008. Mm-hmm. But I will say about one of the plot twists, it's like it's fine, but it feels kind of thrown in at the end where, you know, he wins the race and then just like, he's not a random guy, but he feels kind of random, just goes up and is like, do you ever regret not telling them? And then it's like a flashback of him faking his death and getting like facial reconstruction surgery to explain it. And it just kind of feels like tacked on, like just like we need to put a nice little bow on it.
But I think that's the way that the kind of anime format and just those kind of movies work. That's the logic they work by. So it's random twist at the end that like makes sense, but it's like totally superfluous.
Yeah, well, because it's kind of subverting the expectation, because you expect it to be when he's kind of mad and racing in the track after winning the circuit race, and then they sell the stock, and then he's just kind of racing, and then he takes off his mask, and then it's just some random guy. Like that's when you'd expect the reveal to happen, but it's not until to the end.
Well, so it's even more unsurprising.
Yeah, it's more unsurprising, but it's a little unceremonious, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just funny. Like it just feels like, oh yeah, I guess there was that plot thread going on.
I think Speed Racer had two very missed opportunities. Not in the movie itself. I think the movie is amazing. But I think the culture could have really been innovated by the movie, and it failed to. So one is what I said about it being the masterpiece of this like overly CGI aesthetic, right?
Yeah.
Once the 2000s die away, that aesthetic kind of goes away. In the 2010s, it's much more minimalistic, and movies are much more like gritty and maybe sometimes kind of colorful, like with Marvel, maybe Guardians of the Galaxy. But they're a lot more kind of like dark and boring. And then the other thing is the panning in the movie and the way they use characters' heads to transition, right? So the movie is like, and there'll be multiple scenes where they are changing the character who's talking by, they'll have one character's head on the screen talking, that character's head kind of like moves left to right, and then like the scene kind of transitions behind the person where once the head is moving over towards the right, on the right side is the same scene, but on the left side is the new scene, and like that's the way they transition, and they're doing that with like multiple heads at a time. If you've ever seen Ocean's 11 has its very well. Ocean's 11, at least not the Sinatra one, the George Clooney one. Ocean's 11 has this very like recognizable aesthetic with the boxes, and how it will like during like, oh, we're going to explain the plot of the scene, that basically the screen's being cut in half, and then like one half of the screen is also then being cut to like show multiple scenes at once. It's this very like unique, you could easily point it out like, oh, that's the Ocean's thing.
I feel like I've seen that before, and is it in Ocean's 11? Because they kind of, I assume it's from it, but where they're explaining how he's going to lose the race in Maui or whatever, and then him explaining it and showing the bits of it is what happens.
No, Ocean's 11 is the heist like in Vegas movie. Yeah,
but I thought there's like a part where they explain how they're going to do the heist, and then that's kind of like what actually pans out. You see when they're doing it, and that's what happens.
Exactly.
Yeah, like that part too kind of reminded me.
So it's like, because it's iconic, right?
Yeah.
But Speed Racer, I feel like we could have had that kind of moving head transition thing, but I've never seen that in any movie.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't really notice that one as much, but I do think it is kind of a shame that the sort of optimism and the brightness of it didn't carry through. And I think, when did like the first Batman Begins come out? And like
around the same time.
Yeah, because I feel like that's part of why, is because they took Batman, which, you know, is a little bit darker of a comic, but it's so gritty, it's so realistic compared to the ones that came before.
Yeah. We only think of Batman as gritty because of Christopher Nolan.
Yeah, because Christopher Nolan, speaking of the Odyssey that's coming out.
Oh boy.
Like, that should be a very fantastical and bright thing, but Christopher Nolan, it's like looks gritty, and it's like you wouldn't expect it, like with all this mythology, to look like how it does, you know, regardless of all the other conversations around it. But that's just one thing.
Well, there is a Christopher Nolan movie coming up eventually on this list. I won't reveal anything else. Where did you rank Speed Racer on your version of my 5 movies?
I put that at 4, right?
You put it as number 3.
Oh, yeah, 3. I did. I really enjoyed it. It's a good time.
Yeah.
It's a good watch. You can enjoy it as an adult, which we'll talk about that with another movie on your list. But when you talk about all age movies, there's especially now, there's only a handful that, like, if you're an adult, a kid, or a teen, you can actually enjoy it and watch it. Like, a lot of them are
like
just
truly enjoy it.
yeah,
right?
like
yeah,
probably like Wall-E or Toy Story. Like those are funny
Pixar
for all
type
ages
stuff.
because they understand that and they put jokes for all ages. Like, it's entertaining for kids. It's clever enough and it has enough meaning. It's not like mind-numbing where you put it on because you want to scroll through your phone while your kids watch a movie.
like the Minions.
Yeah, like the Minions. It's like something that you can enjoy no matter how old you are, which is a rare thing.
I think Speed Racer is a movie you love it or you hate it.
Yeah, the visual style would definitely put off some people,
Yeah.
probably, but I think they do a good job of at least keeping, like you're saying, consistent, so that I think it's enjoyable and it's not off-putting. It's like it brings you into a whole different world, and it's easy to accept all the fantastical things like the cars.
Well, speaking of fantastical things happening in a different world, tell us about Total Recall. Rhodes.
Okay, we're going on that already. Total Recall is a story about Quaid, who's a construction worker.
I mean, Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's one of the great Arnold Schwarzenegger action movies. I can make a whole list of just that. He's probably, I mean, we're skipping ahead, but he's probably one of my favorite actors.
Yeah.
But Quaid, he's a construction worker, married for, I think, 8 years. Kind of goes on his day. But then he's having these weird visions of Mars, of a woman. So he goes to a place called Recall where they implant memories and you can have all sorts of exciting adventures. But before they can even implant it, he freaks out doing all sorts of fighting. And then he realizes that he's actually an agent, a secret agent, and tries to uncover the truth. Oh, yeah, and this is on Earth, but about Mars and the colony there because they've already colonized Mars.
Yeah.
I guess that's like the elevator pitch.
That's the elevator pitch.
I wouldn't want to spoil too much. It's hard to...
It's definitely a movie that you should definitely watch.
Yeah, this is specifically the Arnold one. There is a remake that's, I
With
feel
Tom
like, a lot
Cruise,
more gritty.
and apparently
no,
it's
I don't
set...
think is it Tom Cruise?
It's Tom Cruise. Apparently it's also set on Earth and not Mars.
Okay.
Which feels kind of lame.
Yeah.
But why do you like Total Recall so much?
I like Total Recall because, I mean, one, it's at that time where I think it has something meaningful to say, but it also has some comedy, some stupid one-liners.
Yeah.
Consider this a divorce when he...
That's a good line.
It's kind of out of context. It sounds weird, but his wife is an agent sent to keep monitor over him while they've replaced his memory. But it's got all sorts of twists. It's got twists upon twists.
It does.
Would be
I watching it, I thought this was gonna be like another cool Arnold Schwarzenegger action movie, but then it ended up getting like really psychological.
Mm-hmm. Well, it is. The director, I don't know. He did RoboCop and Starship Troopers, and they're more satires, but there's some meaning to be derived from them too. But yeah, I really like this one. And what it says. I mean, it's kind of a question too of, and that'd be to pose to you in terms of consciousness and like, is Quaid a separate person from what was his name?
Hosier. Or
yeah,
something.
Hauser. Like, would you say that Hauser and Quaid are two separate people, or is it one person?
Assuming that what happens is real in the movie.
Assuming.
I think they're still the same person, because it's still the same dude. I think it's
the same body, but it's completely different values.
Well, there are people with multiple personality disorder, and that's still the same person.
But it's not like
this is effectively that, just like forced upon them.
But that's kind of what I like about the movie too, is it's hopeful, right? It's like who you were and what
assuming
you thought,
you
you're not defined.
think everything's real, it's very hopeful.
Okay, yeah, but you're not defined by that. Like he just because the big twist is that, like, what it has you believe is that Hauser was working for the Martians and the evil company, I forget the name of it, but the evil company that is mining on Mars, the valuable resource, they made him forget his memory because he was betraying them.
Yeah.
And because he fell in love with the rebel, like the lady there.
Yeah.
And he was working for the rebels, so they made him lose his mind and were trying to keep a low profile. But what really happened was the company, because... I forgot the name here. I want to find the name.
It's like Cohagen or something.
Yeah, Cohagen. But because the rebels have a leader called, what was his name?
Kauto.
Yeah, I have it.
Kuato
that can read minds.
Yeah.
In order to get past that, they have to make him forget, completely forget himself, and then think that he actually was with the Martian rebels for
a very convoluted plot in like a very good
it's
way.
Hard to, yeah.
Where when you're actually watching
sense.
it, it's really cool all the twists that happens.
Yeah, but obviously the question, right? And I've got I actually have a screenshot there. Mm-hmm. But is this even real? Is this just is this part of the spy fantasy that he went to recall to get?
Like when all this stuff happens in Mars, is this all in his head because the recall said they would make him a secret agent on Mars for 2 weeks just as like a memory thing in his head? Or is this all real because this actually did awaken a past secret agent life that he had, and so he had to go to Mars to like stop the people who had wiped his memory, right?
Yeah. You think it's a dream? I
think it's 100% a dream. I don't even think this is. I think with American Psycho, there's a huge debate. Total Recall, I think there's no.
I don't think it is. I think it's 100% not.
So let me give you my evidence, right?
Okay.
Throughout the movie, all the characters are calling him Quaid, right? Except for the Cohagen guy who keeps on calling him Hauser. But characters who don't even know that his identity was shifted to this Quaid guy.
Like, who would that be?
Like, there's a specific moment where he's coming into the place to meet Quato, mm-hmm. and these people are like, oh, is he the one? Is he going to help us? Is he going to save us? They're like, well, we need to see what Quaid says to Quato first. And they're calling him Quaid despite them not even really knowing
wasn't
who this
his
Quaid
identity, wasn't his persona Quaid? Like, he went to infiltrate the rebels, and then, but he went to infiltrate them.
No, that was still Hauser. And he just like in the plot of the movie, Hauser said that he had betrayed Cohagen to like go with the rebels.
Yeah, it's but like Melina, is it? Does she first call him Hauser or does she call him Quaid?
I don't know. She might say Hauser.
Okay, because that'd be a good question.
Another thing is that
I might not notice that on my first watch.
When he is at the recall company. And they're saying, oh, we're going to give you this 2-week vacation. It's all going to be in your head, but it's going to be great. The movie makes you think that never actually happens. Or they never, like, go through with it because his memory gets reawakened. He jumps up and he goes to, like, go on this mission that's actually real. But the thing that they're going to tell him happens verbatim in the movie. Mm-hmm. So they say, we're going to go on a 2-week thing to Mars. You're going to be secret agent, save the planet, get the girl who's a brunette and is like suave.
Yeah, and when they're picking out the thing, I have a screenshot of it there. I can send it to you, but it's exactly what she looks like.
Which I think has to prove.
They say, like, blue skies on Mars, but he's dreaming of it before he even goes in. He has the dreams of the woman of Mars exactly, and then there's the one scene where the doctor comes and offers him the blue pill to stay in the reality, or the red pill to
he just gives him a red pill
to kill himself. It's the lobotomy to stay. But the 2 pills, but then there's the bead of sweat, which convinces him, if this was an illusion, why would the doctor be sweating, or if it was a dream?
But I think
is that just part of the plot?
I think he could implant because he wants so badly for it to still be real, that this bead of sweat, which is supposed to like show him that's actually real, could be invented by his own mind in order for him to convince himself it is real. Actually, I'm still an action hero. Pow pow pow. And the fact that before any of the plot of the movie happens, and the company, not Arnold, but the actual company, has this like image of the girl that he's going to meet on Mars, and it's the splitting image of the girl that he meets on Mars later in the movie.
But it's also attached to his subconscious, and he has these dreams of her before, so he already has the image of the woman.
Are you sure it's getting that from his head? Or I thought it was like the company's generating this image.
Well, it's strange, right? Because they do pick out, like, they ask him to describe the type of person he wants, and then
but he like says like brunette, who's like suave.
Like brunette, suave, and then they're like, oh, that's 061 or something, mm-hmm. and then they pull up the image. But before he even answers, certain things are highlighted. So to me, it's hard. It's not like.
But the fact for it to be an exact replica of the woman he meets later, I think.
But that's who he has in his mind, though. But
that's not what they're getting their image from.
Well, maybe it's
that's
attached,
a preset
he's attached
data.
Up, I think.
No, but they're saying it's a preset thing, so it's preset to be that woman. That's a preset in the company database.
But why would he be having the dreams of her before if it was just totally a fictional thing?
That's a good point. Are we sure it's the same actress in the dreams?
Yeah. And it's like on Mars. Isn't he like suffocating in the beginning of one?
Yeah, that's with the eyes bulging out.
I feel like there's another one. another part, but I'm forgetting.
If he saw the girl in the dreams, and you're sure that's the same girl, then that would point to the evidence of this all being real.
Yeah, well, apparently I was doing some research and comments, rewatching some of the scenes, but people are saying in the book the explanation is that she did modeling for that company, and that's why her models. But I think that's much worse, and I think it's better that they cut it out. Yeah. But no, I mean, the point is it's supposed to be open-ended. But I think, me personally, like, I'm a fan. I like some open-ended endings, but I don't think it's particularly interesting if it was just a dream. Yeah. And I think there's enough evidence to both that you can make your mind. But I think definitely.
So you still lean towards it being real?
I want it to be real, part of me, and there's parts that I don't know why I'd be having those dreams beforehand. Yeah. That would have it, and just a construction worker marrying what's the actress's name? Sharon Stone. Yeah. I don't know. That seems weird. But it's also weird that it's like the
thing is, if the movie's fake, it's an extremely tragic story. Yeah. Where if he's convinced himself that his life as a construction worker with a very wonderful and supportive wife is not actually real, a beautiful wife who's very into him, if that's all fake and he'd rather convince himself of some delusion where he gets to be with a different woman, then for the wife, from her perspective, like, wow, my husband, who I love and support and I'm amazing towards, hates me so much that he deluded himself into believing he's a secret agent on Mars with a brunette, completely different woman, that I'm actually evil and all these things. Like, I would feel very bad for her. Yeah.
I view it as a hopeful movie that he chooses to bring freedom and liberty to Mars by destroying the natural universes, bringing blue skies. They also mention, well, and part of it too is they're talking about like new reports, right? And they say, oh, blue skies on Mars, that's new. Oh, a two-headed alien, and like Quato's technically a two-headed alien, right? Because it's the guy. So, there's definitely arguments, but I think it's a hopeful one about being able to change.
So I actually put Total Recall as number 4 as well on my version of your list. I changed it right before we started talking about it because I don't like Arnold's acting that much in this movie.
I agree. It's kind of an acquired taste. And here he doesn't have as much of a reason to be acting like this. It's just, because if you look at Terminator, he's a robot. Arnold. His acting is perfect for it. If you look at Last Action Hero, he's supposed to be an action hero. That's another great better. Arnold. But he's supposed to be like a stupid action hero, so it makes sense that his acting's a little off. What was the other? I don't know. Have you seen Predator? That one, his acting could be a little, off-putting maybe, but I think by the time I saw this, I was inoculated, and I just love Arnold, so I didn't mind the acting.
You still gotta love Arnold.
And the scene that stood out to me the most in that movie is just when they're in the escalator and just this poor guy is used as a human shield.
Yeah,
the
that
gore
was crazy.
Yeah.
They shoot that dead corpse 20 times.
I know. It's and also it has Michael Ironside, I think it is, who's like the one that's actually married to hunting him and married to Stone. I love him. He's not in a lot, but he's good. Fantastic.
Shall we get to my number 4?
Let's do it.
So I have DVDs for most of mine here. I have Speed Racer here, and so if you can see it, it's an old Blockbuster CD that I guess Zia Records got. No, I didn't.
Oh, Zia, you bought it from Zia Records.
Yeah, I got it from Zia. I guess they got it. That's once Blockbuster died. My number 4 is The Tale of Princess Kaguya, which is a Studio Ghibli film. Studio Ghibli is like the most renowned animation studio in Japan. It is the tale of 11th century Japan, where a moon princess is sent down into a bamboo stalk, discovered by a poor farmer. He gets enough money from the gods that he brings her to the palace and tries to teach her to be a proper lady, and she yearns for home. That is the elevator pitch. This movie is amazing. It is technically a different director from the Studio Ghibli movie that's later on in my list, so I have all different directors for mine as well. The movie, what's especially unique about the movie is which I guess my theme as well is like unique animation styles, which has been true for the last 2 as well for me, where the movie is entirely animated in the style of traditional Japanese nature paintings. So this kind of like white background with like brush strokes and like colors, and like focusing on nature and birds, and the whole movie is not drawn like you would see like in Western movies. It does not look like Snow White or anything like that at all. It is drawn as if a Japanese, like ancient Japanese painting had come to life. It's like an hour-and-a-half movie, all drawn like this.
I think it's even longer, actually.
Yeah, I think
like
it might be even longer, actually.
No, but it
might be closer to 2 hours.
40 maybe.
It's
beautiful.
Beautiful, beautiful movie. Obviously like the characters and the music is amazing. Gorgeous music. Love the music. One of the best soundtracks. It's still Joe Hisaishi, who's the main Studio Ghibli guy. Love the soundtrack. The character is great. And her sort of character arc. The plot of the movie is that once she gets to the palace, she has these 5 suitors who all try to marry her, and she gives them impossible mythological tasks to do, and they all cannot do it. And so she says they should be free. The emperor hits on her. She rejects him. The movie ends with her returning to the moon. But there's a very important thing to know here, because this movie is based on the first ever monogatari, which is an ancient Japanese style of prose that's about these, like, mainly written by women at the time, actually. That's about these like courtship stuff and like people at the court doing things and different stories. This is the first ever monogatari that we have a good record of. And in the original monogatari, it keeps mainly the same plot. Princess from the moon, discovered in bamboo stock, goes to the capital, pursued by 5 suitors, pursued by emperor. And then in the end of the original monogatari, she goes to the moon. And in the original story, that seems like a very good thing. Like, oh, she's returning to the moon. She's a moon princess. If anything, this trivializes like Japan, and like we're actually more in the peripheries. And she was sent to exile to us, and then she's sent back to the true place, which is the moon. The movie takes this final detail and turns this into a critique of Buddhism. So,
was in the original that she heard the song and wanted to come to Earth, or was she sent to exile as like a punishment?
Exile as a punishment.
Okay. Yeah. So that part's different too then.
That's also different. Yeah, in the movies, she just kind of yearns for Earth, or yearns for the moon. I think it also is played off as an exile punishment as well. But so the original Monogatari doesn't really involve Buddhism, but this movie involves Buddhism and then rejects it as bad.
And I'm surprised they weren't forced to drink hemlock for corrupting the youth.
I mean, Japan nowadays doesn't really care.
Yeah, because I guess that was it feels older in like a good way because of the animation. Because I think it was like 2013 or something. Like it came out after one of the other ones on the list. But if you looked at the animation style, it's a very technical one and probably very difficult, more difficult than the other one on the list. But it feels very old in terms of just because of how they do it. And they keep it
looks very traditional and ancient. And so very basic explanation of Buddhism. Like the central tenet of Buddhism is that the reason that you suffer is because you desire stuff. And so if you stop desiring stuff, like food and comfort and all these things, then you'll stop suffering. Eventually you can stop desiring stuff enough that you no longer even exist, and your soul is extinguished. It's not even technically a soul, but you are extinguished. You achieve nirvana, like the band.
So there is no moon thing though, right?
No,
it's just an allegory. Well, I guess not in the original it wouldn't have been, but in this story it's like an allegory for nirvana or whatever, being on the moon. Because that's what I thought, but I wasn't 100% sure because I'm not as familiar with Buddhism or sort of those Eastern religions.
Which in the movie, the Buddha lives on the moon, and the movie ends with the Buddha coming to collect her and then like bring her back to the moon
and cloaking her in the
moon veil of forgetfulness.
Yeah.
Which I'm pretty sure in Japanese mythology, the Buddha does not live on the moon. I don't think that's a thing. From everything that I've studied from Japan and China and stuff. So that's like kind of new to the movie. And at the end of the movie, the Buddha's coming to get her, and the Buddha is going to give her the special cloak that you talked about, where it causes her to forget everything that she experienced on Earth, so that she can stop like missing Earth, so she can stop desiring all of her loved ones there. Then she can stop suffering and be happy on the moon. And she gets up as she's about to be had her mind wiped. Another actually recurring theme in like 3 of our movies actually, memory loss. Yeah. But her mind's about to get wiped. She says, "Nope. Actually, why do I have to let go of all these people? Yes, there is suffering on Earth. Yes, there is loss and pain and all these things. But why can't I? Isn't it better to love? Isn't it better to, love and loss? Isn't it better to love these people and to still suffer along with them? And there's all this beauty here and the birds and everything." And as she's saying this speech, she's like rejecting all these Buddhist things, and then the 2 servants of the Buddha come, lay the cloak of forgetfulness on her. She forgets. She goes kind of brain dead almost, kind of just like happily smiles. The Buddha takes her back to the moon, and it's very sad, and the movie ends. Which is saying that like this whole Buddhism thing is bad.
Yeah, but it's hopeful in a way that it's saying that living on Earth is better than what is proclaimed as the alternative. Yeah. That the joy is worth all the suffering that you encounter too. Yeah, so that part's hopeful, but it is a sad ending.
It's not quite affirming of suffering, but it's affirming of reality and the world and love.
That emotions are better than none.
Yeah. What did you think about Kaguya?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I do have some questions. Sure. Separate, but so my understanding is the moon doesn't know she's down there. She kind of snuck down there, right? Because she says that when the emperor grabs her, she says, "I want to go home," and then the moon, they come to take her on the 15th, I think it is.
I'm pretty sure in the movie it's because she got exiled to the moon. Or to Earth.
To Earth. She got
exiled for wanting to go to Earth.
Okay.
Essentially.
But then,
so it maybe exile is not the best word. It's more of a test of she wants to go to Earth. And the moon people are like, Earth sucks. They suffer. Let's send you down. You're going to realize it sucks. And then we'll like bring you back at the end.
So would it have been the moon that sent down the gold in the robe to her?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I guess my question, it's not really a question about the movie, but what you think is the bamboo cutter in the wrong for giving her the life that she says that she doesn't want to live, but that was, he would assume was bestowed by the gods that came with her.
Yeah, I think the father is portrayed as this like tragic character. He's like very much supposed to be relatable with a lot of dads, where he like wants the best for his daughter and he overdoes it, but he's really like working hard and like trying to give her the life that he thinks that she's supposed to have. I think he's played off as like a hard to sympathize with character, but still a character you're meant to sympathize with.
Well, because if you're like a random bamboo cutter in the forest, the gold's no good to you and the silk is no good to you. I mean, I guess you could, give that to your daughter to wear. So, and you wanted a daughter, because it seems like they wanted a daughter, but they were too old at this point, so they couldn't have a daughter, so that, they would do anything that they could to raise her and keep her, if the gods would take it away, if they didn't, raise her with the gifts that were given or something.
They really care deeply about their daughter.
Yeah, and I feel bad for him. Yeah, obviously the mother does too, but she doesn't really come into conflict with the daughter or Kaguya as much. It's more the father. But yeah, no, I enjoy it. I think it has a really good message that I agree with, though. I do think it is very sad, and I don't know, like, it's PG, but I don't know if I'd show it to like a kid.
Really? Yeah.
Which is the opposite of what you think.
I watched it with adults, and they're like freaking out at the end. They're like, "Oh my gosh, how could that happen?"
Well, and it kind of fakes you out. You think she'll have the happy ending where the her friend will leave his wife and child, and they'll live together.
Yeah, there's also a subplot of the childhood friend who has like a child and a wife at the end of the movie.
That part was that was a joke. That part is a little, I mean, it's not bad, but it's a little strange because you see him with the kid, and I guess the kid doesn't.
And he's ready to run away with his childhood love. He's like, I'll abandon my wife easily.
Yeah, so that part I felt a little conflicted because I'm like, and I wonder too. This is just totally random, but she had the dream of laying on the snow before or something, so as part of it, and the song that they sing. Well, that
wasn't a dream because she has the shard of the pottery. Remember?
Yeah, well, she broke it and then she runs away, but then she wakes up back there.
Yeah, but it's still broken, which shows that it actually happened. And the moon spirits come, the little sprites come, and they bring her back to the party.
Okay, but they don't yet bring her back to the moon.
Yeah.
But because to me, I was wondering if there's some sort of like but when she's laying down in the snow, doesn't she say like I've been here before? This isn't a
because it reminds her of the moon.
Oh, it reminds me of the moon. I was wondering if it was saying something about like cycles of life, because that's what the whole song is about. Like, and she's like surprised to learn that spring will come again, or that it's the second spring.
Yeah.
So I was wondering if there was some sort of thing they were going for with that. But to me, that's a lot less, right? The big thing is the critique of Buddhism, which I agree with, right? That feeling nothing.
Which one reason I'm so passionate about this movie is I did a lot of research in college on Monogatari, on specifically like courtship stories at the time. One thing the movie actually uses from these like ancient tropes, that there's this trope in this literature called kaimami, which is this idea of like being a peeping Tom, and this is seen as like a really like cool like erotic thing that the men do to the women, and the movie actually incorporates it.
But if you remember, opposite, wouldn't you say?
Well, no, the emperor. It's supposed to be attractive in the ancient literature for the man to peep on the woman, and the emperor does that with Kaguya, right? But then he's seen as bad, right? In the original story, I think he makes advances. She says no, but they're still like basically he's friends with like a moon person now, and it's like cool. But in this, he's just seen as like a creep.
Yeah,
the emperor.
He is just a creep. Well, and they all kind of are, and the 5 gifts, and then they all bring the fakes and stuff.
That's all in the original. It's the 5 fakes.
5 fakes.
You put Kaguya as number 4, so below Speed Racer.
No, I think I put that as. No. Oh yeah, 4, because I like Speed Racer. Yeah. Sorry, I was missing.
Why is it not as good as Speed Racer?
I just think it's kind of just depressing in a way. I mean,
Very
well,
depressing.
It's not, because that's what's hard, right? Is the theme and the message isn't depressing, but what actually happens is depressing, because you want her to stay, at the very least, with her father and mother. Yeah. Maybe not, be a homewrecker, because I wasn't really rooting for that when I was a kid. But at least, convince. Well, because I didn't, you don't know the mythology of the moon, so you're like, well, maybe they can convince the moon, but no, it's just kind of unstoppable force when it finally comes. Yeah. Because I thought that was like part of it when she runs away, is that she'll like find a way to convince the moon to let her stay, because you see her looking at it, but you don't know exactly what it'll be when it comes down.
Staring at the moon, also a very common trope in the ancient literature. If you've ever seen the anime Sailor Moon, that's literally based on the Moon Princess, actually. Oh, yeah. Let's do a break after our next movie discussion, so halfway through. Okay. Before we do that, tell us about The Thing.
The Thing. Okay. This one, it's a classic. I think it's probably one of the best horror movies of all time. It's funny because this is like also with Total Recall. With this one, they're both explore themes of the first 2 on my list, but these I would say are relatively virtuous people. Yeah. One Quaid. Well, I guess I'll just give the elevator pitch first. The Thing. Americans are in Antarctica in a research base, minding their own business. One day they see a dog running towards their base, and then a man is shooting at it, and he's a Norwegian researcher. And then the dog comes to the humans for protection. The researcher shoots it. They kill the researcher in self-defense, and they try to figure out what goes on. So one thing, I'll spoil it a little bit because it's kind of important for the setup, but the dog freaks out, kills a bunch of other dogs. They burn it, analyze the tissue. They see something's wrong. It's some alien. So they go to the Norwegian base, find just a disaster that's overtaken it and left it in ruin. And then they find an alien spaceship. And when they learn that this thing takes the form of animals and other living organisms, then it leads to distrust and trying to figure out how to stop it. Yeah. I'd say that's the elevator pitch. Okay. But what I like is it's sort of an exploration of paranoia, distrust. I forget when it came out, but I'm sure you could compare it to many events.
The 80s, I think.
Yeah,
90s.
Like you could probably think of it with like the Red, well, not, the Red Scare maybe. Something like that. But I just like that it's humanity prevails, that despite the flaws, and there's some character arcs, right? McCready, played by Kurt Russell. Yeah. He starts out as this kind of hot-headed, not loser, but he loses a chess game and he pours his beer on it.
Yeah.
Which is just so selfish. You're stranded in Antarctica and that's your one source of entertainment for the whole time and you're just destroying it. But in the end, he is willing to sacrifice himself to save humanity. But yeah, so that's kind of like the thematic reason why it's great. And a filmmaking level, the practical effects are gorgeous.
Oh
They're
my gosh, yeah.
and disgusting.
Was there any CGI on the movie, or
I don't
was it
think
all
so.
practical? It was incredible.
It's pretty much all practical.
It was horrifying. It was bone chilling. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's, from a filmmaking standpoint, great suspense. One of the greatest, most suspenseful scenes in the movie is the blood testing when they have everyone's blood and they put it in. You hear this, heating up of the metal rod, and then they dip it in the blood and the sizzle. Just, masterfully done, but hopeful. Even though I guess this one has an ambiguous ending too.
You love your ambiguous endings.
This is the last one I'd say. I think it's kind of a stupid debate, right? Because the main debate is Childs and Quaid, the two people left at the end. They sit side by side. McCready.
Yeah.
I don't know why I want to say Quaid there. McCready, they sit and they're kind of realizing they've blown everything up. It's not going to be able to spread. And they just say, nothing to do but sit and wait. And they're both going to die, but they stopped the infection from going to the world. Now, people like to theorize, is McCready infected? Is Childs infected? It doesn't, I mean, it kind of matters, but they say something about the print left on after he drinks it or something. I don't know. It's weird. Yeah. I don't think it's really worth debating. I don't know.
I loved the suspense in the movie. I loved the practical effects, especially. But when they're locking the guy in the shed, I mean, I love society. I love movies where society crumbles, and mainly that's post-apocalyptic stuff. I love zombie movies, stuff like that. But this movie, the society does crumble. It's a smaller society of the research base, but you get to see that in real time. You get to, it's almost like Lord of the Flies, but with adult men fighting an alien. You get to see the crumbling of society. And
I would say to their credit, though, they keep it going as well as they can.
Yes.
They don't completely devolve into shooting. Well, I think they do shoot one person because he is going to kill McCready.
Sure.
When he wants to do the test, but for the most part, they find they don't just kill everyone and burn themselves. They devise a way to test it. A couple ways. The first way is they're just going to compare blood samples kept in the fridge with their own. Then they see that's destroyed. They don't just say, "Oh, well, you must have had the key. You're dead." Now they restrain him, I believe, of the person who they think had it. But then they find a new way to test. They continue to go forth and not completely devolve, and they do it to save society on a greater.
But that's even better. Is in a sense, society fully devolves because they have to blow up the research base, right? But their humanity stays intact and their.
But it's also
community,
saving, But it's a saving of all of society, though, to a degree. Yeah. But I know it's a little different. Their society definitely crumbles. Yeah. But
I loved it. Extremely intense movie. A very tense movie. Very great thriller.
The soundtrack I enjoy it, but it's probably a little monotonous. I don't know. The Carpenter soundtracks, you either like them or don't like them.
It's a movie that just hooks you in.
Yeah.
I think. And I think the soundtrack plays into that.
It's a great Halloween, great lights out movie. But I think it's more intelligent than just a lot of slashers.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's right.
I put this number 2 on my list.
That's fair.
I just this is one of the movies I didn't have to watch or rewatch in anticipation of this. I just remembered it so well. It left a really strong impression on me. It's an amazing horror movie.
Yeah.
So.
No, I think I've probably watched it 4 times, and I'm I wanted to watch it again, but I didn't have time because I had a few movies to catch up on. But yeah, it's burned in my brain, and all the characters too. And it's fun. There's not little details necessarily, but you can kind of figure out maybe who's infected. Before Wilford Brimley's character destroys all the electronics, because he wants to stop it from spreading. But then later, and I think he builds a noose, but then he doesn't end up killing himself, right? Because he is the thing, and it's bent on survival, and he digs a tunnel to build the new spaceship or whatever to fly away once he's infected.
It's amazing movie.
Yeah, there's things you can pick up on multiple watches, but
you want to keep on paying attention to all the different characters and guessing who's who.
Yeah.
Who's not who.
And the acting's great. I mean, star-studded cast. I love Kurt Russell. He's great.
Well, we will take a break here. I will edit it so that it never happened. And welcome back. I am ready to jump right into my number 3 movie, which is Inside Llewyn Davis, a movie that not many people in the audience may have heard or seen before. Inside Llewyn Davis, that's Llewyn, it's Welsh, I suppose, is a movie about a folk artist in the 1960s in Greenwich Village in New York, which is a lot of where that like folk scene, Bob Dylan type, Pete Seeger, were all concentrated. He's a struggling artist though, so he's like couch surfing, trying to get a gig. The movie's very slice of life. It's just like a week or so in his life, and about him struggling to find himself in this folk environment. That's the elevator pitch. For the spoilers and the plot, I mean, there's a lot that happens, right? So, like, John Goodman shows up, which is the best part. No, love John Goodman.
He's fantastic.
He is amazing. Well, like, the actual plot is that he goes to, like, Chicago in order to try to, like, book a special recording deal. He drives there, meets some interesting people on the way, has some kind of surreal experiences, goes to Chicago. They don't take him. He comes back to New York, and basically the movie ends where it starts, where his life didn't go anywhere the whole movie. And literally they take the same, like they take the scene from the end of the movie that makes sense at the end of the movie, and then they place it at the start of the movie in a way that is like surreal in retrospect, because the scene doesn't make sense at the start of the movie. It only makes sense at the end. So the fact that it happened back at the beginning is showing that like his life is just going in circles and he's going nowhere. Movie's very much a character piece. This is Oscar Isaac's breakout role. So if you've seen Oscar Isaac in like the new Star Wars movies or in Dune as Paul's dad and stuff, this is his breakout role where he actually becomes big.
He doesn't die in the beginning.
He does not die. He does get beat up in the beginning, but does not die. He's this like self-righteous brat who thinks he's better than other people, and the movie's just like that playing out around him. He thinks that he can make it, and like he won't take a partner because he had a partner in like the music industry, and that guy jumped off a bridge, and so he's like trying to make it, and like these people around him are like calling him out and being selfish, but it's not working.
He's a total loser.
He's a total loser.
Like, every day, going and trying to find like friends, bridges that he's burnt in the past, but then trying to get them to let him stay a night or give him money and stuff like that, and just Which is a lot that happens in the movie, like to that theme. So what stuck out to you, Rhodes, is the I think the part that sticks out to me about that movie is part of it's a question of could he change given the right circumstances, but there's a couple of things where it's his past decisions that catch up with him, like when he records that one song that's stupid, but he could get the royalties on it, but then he has to take the cash because he wants to pay for an abortion, or when he tries to get the Mariner's license, but then he doesn't have enough money, and because he let past dues pile up, he doesn't have enough to pay for it now and do it. Like parts where he could have changed his life for the better, but then circumstances that are partly his fault for past actions catch up with him, and just kind of like the cyclical nature of his life and what is like the fault of society versus him.
And he's always blaming the world around him for screwing him over, but like most of the stuff that screws him over is because of his own.
Yeah, like when he turns down, doesn't he turn down like a trio gig that he secures?
He does, yeah. Like he could have been successful, but he refused to have a musical partner. He insisted on being a solo act. And like there's plenty of characters in the movie that try to like make his life easier. Like he has a sister that's supportive. He has the professor couple who literally take him back as their friend after he loses their cat, and then like has a like crash out at like a dinner party with them later. But he just continues to just dig himself deeper and deeper. This is a Coen Brothers movie, so if you've seen like The Big Lebowski or No Country for Old Men, it's these two guys.
It's definitely closer to The Big Lebowski and maybe even Barton Fink, where it's just kind of a day in the life of.
Yeah.
I mean, less crazy stuff happens than Big Lebowski and Barton Fink, though I feel like Barton Fink is pretty...
It's more surreal.
Yeah, well, like in the last like 10 minutes. Like, I feel like it's pretty played straight, similar for the part, but then it goes off the rails. But this is pretty, like, I mean, there's like one weird part in the road trip where it's a little, you know, I'm trying to think, like, he kind of falls asleep and...
Yeah, I think it's
weird.
It's
but
really
like,
just the ending scene. That's just the real part.
And the ending.
What the Coen brothers can do really, really well is give you a character who is beaten down by life, beaten down, has really many chances to fix himself, and just like doesn't, and the ramifications of that. So The Serious Man is another Coen brothers film, also not that popular, that is a similar theme but with a more righteous character. But like there's also this big like kind of karmic sense, right? Both the Coen brothers are Jewish, and so they have at least a certain sense of like divine retribution for the actions that you take, and like your responsibility to your fellow man that shows up in their films. The Coen brothers are my favorite directors. We'll get into favorite directors more at the end. But this is my favorite movie from them. It's just such a great, just like, it's a strong character piece.
Yeah, well, it's impressive because a lot of the scenes are relatively mundane, but they're very interesting, and you're gripped the whole way through, despite, it's just like asking for a place to stay or just staying with a couple, but they're able to take that and make it interesting and make the time go by.
The scene that I love so much is when he drives by Akron. Because he's going to Chicago, and then he goes back to Chicago. The movie is kind of chiasmic in the sense of like so a chiasm is a poetic device. It's essentially A, B, C, C, B, A, where you kind of like go one way and then you kind of come back, which is also happens a lot in the Bible. The Psalms use this a lot, where essentially him going to Chicago, basically once he comes back from Chicago, everything happens that happened to him on the way to Chicago, but in reverse order. And so both on the way there and on the way back, he sees a sign for Akron. Akron sticks out in the movie because he had a girlfriend. Well, because you mentioned the abortion, he tries to pay for it at one point. He goes to the doctor as a part of that, and he says, "Oh, is this for that other girlfriend?" And basically it's revealed to him that he had a girlfriend who kept the kid and then moved to Akron to be with her parents. And so he drives by Akron. The thought occurs to him, I could move to Akron, I could find this girl, I could be like a good father, I could live a much more boring life than I currently have, but one that's ultimately a lot more meaningful and impactful on the people around us. And both times you can kind of see him wanting to like turn off to go to Akron, but he refuses.
To me, that's interesting because I didn't think about that, but that's like the opposite, where a past stupid thing he did has actually given him a positive opportunity, but then he's too selfish.
He had his opportunity for redemption.
Yeah, because there's a couple of times where there's an opportunity, but because of past circumstances, he can't take it. But this is like the opposite, where because of a past circumstance, he actually can take the opportunity, but he refuses.
And there is something about kind of God's will and divine retribution here of like, he thinks that like, because he's given like, there's all these potential opportunities. The only actual good one, and the one that would actually work, is the one that God is offering to him through Akron. But he would have to give up on his own selfishness and actually be a better person. But he's refusing to do that. And so he's trying to get all these other opportunities that God's closing in on him as retribution for his selfishness.
Yeah.
But yeah, Inside Llewyn Davis, also probably the best soundtrack maybe of any movie I've ever seen. They get a lot of current day folk artists to sing some of the songs. They do a very good job. You put Inside Llewyn Davis as number 2. Yeah. So you very much enjoyed it.
Oh yeah, no, I very much enjoy it, and I could rewatch that a lot. Yeah. I like the soundtrack. They've got great soundtracks like Oh Brother Where Art Thou. I love the Man of Constant Sorrow. That one every now and then comes into mind. Yeah. But this as well is very great.
Yeah. And it's just I was going to say something.
Cut that.
No. Yeah. No, delightful movie.
Well, I don't know. It's kind of depressing though. Like, in a way, I don't know.
Yeah. Maybe like I'm thinking more of the music. Like if you're into like Bob Dylan, Pete Seeger, that kind of stuff. I think that's
like a cool juxtaposition, that it's like very kind of upbeat. Well, somewhat upbeat music compared to his circumstance.
All right. Let us go into your number 2 movie, Reservoir Dogs. Make sure you're talking to the mic.
Oh, sorry.
No.
Yeah, no, number 2, it's Quentin Tarantino. As you can see, I'm pretty basic, pretty famous directors, John Carpenter.
But these are like good basics.
Yeah, and this is, what was that? Chiasmic, because before, we'll get to, if you exclude number 5, A is Total Recall, which is about memory, and then B was about society and mistrust, and this is also about society and mistrust in a small scale. But the elevator pitch is a group of diamond heists, or a group come together to rob jewelry, take some diamonds. They don't know each other by anything other than like Mr. Pink, Mr. Brown, pseudonyms, right?
Yeah.
That's the right word. So they go and do it, but then it goes horribly wrong. Alarms tripped, and the cops are there much quicker than they should be. Mm-hmm. So they escape, and then they think that there's a rat among them, but it's kind of dealing with the fallout, because not everyone makes it out of the heist. So who might be a rat, figuring out, all sorts of stuff about it.
Okay.
Would be the basics. Standout parts. I mean, it's Quentin Tarantino's dialogue is great. I don't know how many you've seen, but like the tip scene in the beginning, not necessary. But I
love that scene so much.
And
Steve Buscemi refusing to tip.
And it's gotten worse. Now I have to tip for making like my own coffee or something, or making. But just some fun dialogue to really set up the characters. We have Mr. Pink. Steve Buscemi carries the movie. He does a great job. Mm-hmm. I love Steve Buscemi.
Mr. White.
A lot. Yeah. Who do you know who Mr. White is?
No clue.
Yeah, but basically, for the plot, you have Mr. Orange. He's the rat. He's a police officer that joined the heist.
Which you don't realize until halfway through the movie.
Yeah, because he actually gets shot when they're trying to escape. So you don't think it would be him, because why would he take a bullet, like especially from the police if he's undercover? But it's because he was carjacking a woman with Mr. White, and then she shot him. Yeah. But that bullet kind of gives him protection, and then he gets shot. And then, he's saying, take me to the hospital to Mr. White, but Mr. White actually tells him his real name, so he can't do that. Yeah. You have Mr. Pink. He's relatively level-headed.
Those are the main ones. You have, I think, Blonde is like the psychotic guy.
Yeah, Mr. Blonde's the psychopath that has the iconic scene where he's torturing the guy to the tune of Stuck in the Middle with You. Yeah. I think it's been parodied on It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia with the leprechaun. But it's a great scene, but it's a horrible scene. Yeah. I'm trying to think, but it's thieves, no honor really among thieves. Mm-hmm. Despite they were infiltrated, and it kind of messes with time a little bit less than my number 1 pick, but you get
also less than like Pulp Fiction stuff and other Tarantino. Yeah,
but it's a good job, and I quite like it in movies where they reveal information that they feel is pertinent. So you don't get to know, you don't go in knowing that Mr. Orange is the cop. It comes up when it's relevant, or you don't know that the background behind Mr. White until partway through the film when they're already in the warehouse, and you want to learn more about some of these people. And Mr. Brown's Tarantino, and he kills himself off in the beginning, and Mr. Blue also, I think, dies in the very beginning. Yeah. Or you find out later, but it's the language might be a little harsh for some modern audience.
And the violence. I mean, he cuts off a guy's ear.
Yeah, he does cut off a guy's ear and about to set him on fire.
And Mr. Orange has a lot of blood.
Yeah. And I mean, the ending's pretty depressing, right? When Mr. Orange.
That was really sad. Yeah.
When, Mr. White sticks up. Mr. White sticks up for Orange and kills Eddie. Is it Eddie and
Eddie and Joe?
Yeah, Eddie and Joe, and then Orange reveals to him that he is a cop, and then he puts the gun, and no one gets out alive. Steve Buscemi, you don't see him die, but you hear in the background when he escapes with the diamonds. Yeah. But and to me it's like the opposite of the thing, where instead of it's virtuous people trying to do a good thing, it's horrible people. Yeah. With the exception of Orange, though he's not perfect, right? Just because he's a cop doesn't mean he's like a great guy, but with them just collapsing because they're all extremely selfish. They're all not wanting to benefit the world but harm the world to benefit themselves.
One thing I love is the movie doesn't try to be the traditional structure. It probably still hits like a 3-act or something, but essentially you have like a tip scene in the beginning that's like kind of just for fun, and then the rest of the movie takes place in the warehouse, right? You get flashbacks and stuff so that there's action outside the warehouse, but the whole thing, it's almost like a play where everyone's just on a singular stage and they have to make this whole drama in the singular place, and like characters are coming and going. It does actually feel very theatrical in its setup and stuff. Steve Buscemi, absolutely love Steve Buscemi and everything he does. Kind of just his voice, but like, I mean, this is the man who is like in Fargo and Lebowski and Monsters Inc. and all these things. And he does such an amazing job in this movie. Like, he definitely gets typecast as a like kind of like out there, like definitely like corrupt dude.
But he does get a really big role. Like, I'd say he's kind of the main character, which
usually he's not.
No, like Big Lebowski, he's hardly in the movie.
Yeah,
I'd say like he's in it, but
he's a comic relief. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I should mention that this movie I think it's pretty well known. I haven't researched into it, but he did rip it off basically from like a Chinese film where it is jewel thieves that do it. But I enjoy it as an American. I think there's dialogue too that really you can only get
very
from Tarantino.
Good dialogue. Yeah.
Have you seen much of Tarantino's?
I've seen Inglourious Bastards.
Okay, yeah, that's right. We watched that.
What else have I seen from him?
Hateful Eight.
Name his movies.
Hateful Eight, Kill Bill Volume 2, Pulp Fiction, Jackie Brown, Death Proof, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
I've seen Inglourious Bastards.
Okay, you've seen what? We have to change that.
Yeah, I should. Kill Bill could be cool.
Right now you're on your Coen Brothers.
Yeah, I mean that's a long thing. They have 18 movies and I've seen 10.
But he's got I forget how many he has, but he has a lot. But they're pretty good. Most
he's like 11, I think. Isn't he capping it at 12 or something?
He says it, but who knows? The only two I don't like are Death Proof and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Yeah. Which I don't know. Death Proof no one talks about, but Once Upon a Time I feel like is pretty well loved. By some
heard
people.
It's disliked.
I thought it was loved because it's just like Hollywood nostalgia.
It's loved by people in Hollywood.
Well, even like just like cinephiles probably who just like the aesthetic and stuff. But
I put Reservoir Dogs as my number 1.
Really?
On your list.
Okay.
I loved this movie. This is the one I rewatched in anticipation of this podcast, and it was. I mean, I had forgotten a lot of the plot, but also like the movie left such an impression on me. It is such like a beautiful like combination of like this like theater vibe and these like really corrupt characters, amazing performances. Mr. Orange's performance and Steve Buscemi's performance are both incredible. I love Mr. Orange, like when he's like there's like minutes and minutes of straight dialogue where he's just like dying and dying and dying and like screaming and like saying all these things, and like you feel like he really is dying on the screen. And like the twists and the just the characters are so interesting because it is these vicious people trying to find out a rat. Yeah.
I enjoy it. I think it was, I read somewhere, I don't know if it's true, but I think John Carpenter once, like, confronted him about ripping it off, and he's like, yeah, I did.
I believe that.
And some people say he ripped off this movie to make Hateful Eight, but I don't remember Hateful Eight enough to say that, but yeah, no, it's a good movie.
Thoughts about Reservoir Dogs?
I think, I'd say it's probably his best work, even more so than Pulp Fiction. I know that's well loved, but like, I don't know, I'd rather watch this 100 times out of 100.
Yeah. Next up is my number 2 movie, which is Moonrise Kingdom. Moonrise Kingdom I have here. Boom. Moonrise Kingdom is a Wes Anderson film. So if you're familiar with Wes Anderson, this is like Grand Budapest Hotel, Tenenbaums, movies like that. This is one of the 2 movies that I've ever seen that I consider perfect movies. The other movie is number 1. I cannot name a single flaw, anything bad at all in this movie. Moonrise Kingdom is a movie about 2 kids in rural like Nova Scotia, a little like a boy and a girl around the ages of like 11 and 12 who've run away together because they hate the little town, the village that they live in. The boy's in foster care and like kind of has his family in the Boy Scouts who all hate him. The girl has a father and a mother who don't really love each other and some annoying brothers. So they run away together, and then the movie's about the manhunt looking for the 2 of them. That's the elevator pitch. The movie is just insane in its beauty. It's it's Wes Anderson, so it's a very distinct cinematography. So if you don't like he's always putting everything in the exact center of the frame. He's using these very distinct yellows. It's supposed to be very whimsical, and the movie does that very well.
Mm-hmm.
The movie has amazing actors in it. I mean, this is very star-studded. This is Bruce Willis, Bill Murray, Frances McDormand, Tilda Swinton, Edward Norton, and probably some other people I'm forgetting as well. There's such a charm to the movie. This is a movie I first watched when I was in high school, and like there's such a youthful charm to it. The two kids running away, and every character is just so interesting and wacky and fun as they like kind of go on this manhunt for these two kids. And these kids are like overly like mature for their age, and they're like kind of saying all these like pretty intellectual things, while the adults are like more concerned about just finding them. And it's, I think, a beautiful movie. Great soundtrack as well. A pretty traditional like structure with the acts and the plot, but also just in a gorgeous setting. I mean, you're just in like a rural island off the Canadian coast, and like you're kind of traveling from island to island as they go on some boats, going around the beach. There's such a charm to this movie, and I love it.
Yeah.
What do you think?
It's definitely very charming, though. It was for me, because I think I've maybe seen, was it The Fantastic Mr. Fox?
Yeah.
Wes Anderson, when I was like a kid. So it's definitely a very different style of filmmaking to what I'm used to. Because I'd say like the kids are pretty well characterized, but the adults are like kind of caricatures in a way that I was like not expecting, especially with the star-studded cast like Bruce Willis and Murray to just kind of be like one-dimensional, and it works because they're not the focus of it. They're just kind of there to move it along, and it happens pretty quickly. Like it wastes no time, which I kind of appreciate. But I guess there's a lot more time built up when they first escape together, and they're kind of walking through the wilderness, and he's teaching, and they're kind of learning and being kids. But then it like, I swear, after they get caught, it's quick. The kids look out, they're like, we gotta save him. They save him, then they canoe, and then they get married, and then they're gonna go escape, and then he forgot the binoculars, so he goes, and then he gets like chased, struck by lightning, and it's just like all very quick at like the end, to the point where I was just kind of like, I wasn't expecting it.
And the final climactic scene with the thunderstorm.
Yeah, and the church. Yeah, it was very... the end moves so much quicker than the beginning, which is good. I mean, it works because the beginning is important to set up the relationship and why they're getting in trouble. But yeah, and it's funny too. I mean, the adults are idiots. Like the one foster parents are like, no, he can't come back or whatever.
Yeah.
I forget what they say specifically. Like, but it's funny, but also...
And the two leads
sweet.
are just so fun. Like the boy and the girl.
Yeah, they're not like... Well, because they're both like troubled kids, right? That have issues with violence. So yeah, it's an interesting dynamic to have them interact, and they do a good job portraying that.
Yeah.
And it's crazy that came out a long time ago, because it feels like...
It's not that old. It feels a little bit...
They're like
20.
Recent. They're older than us.
Are they?
Yes, they're like 27 now. It came out in like 12, like 10 years ago maybe, or 14. Oh gosh.
Yeah, I'm looking on the back to find the year 2012. Yeah.
Yeah. So like 14 years ago.
Age,
well, if they're 13, they're like 27. So like not much older.
Yeah.
But to me that feels weird to think about, but because it doesn't feel like an old movie.
No, well, I think it does try to be intentionally vintage in some ways.
Well, yeah, because it's set in the 40s, right? That was another part that was interesting, that at first was strange, is that like, because part of it is heightened, right? Like it's not supposed to be realistic, and like the Scouts camp is basically like a military camp or something, and it at first like that caught me off guard, but you kind of accept it when you go through. But it's just... Yeah, I haven't really seen Wes Anderson, so a lot of this was just like totally out of the blue and different from what I was used to. But
he's known for having a very distinct style.
Yeah.
But this is a movie that you put as number 5 out of my 5. So why was this number 5?
5? It's just I feel like I have to be in a mood to watch it and really like dial in to like, and because especially in the later half, you can't look away for a second, otherwise you'll probably be confused by what's going on, which isn't a bad thing. Like, it's a good movie to do it, but for me, I kind of, well, the other movies I think are very strong too, and well, I'm not quite sure what the message to take away.
Love indoors.
Love indoors. Let the 13.
Kids be kids.
Yeah, but like, should you let kids run away and go on the beach?
But you should like let them like hang out together.
Yeah.
And, like, you shouldn't ignore your kids.
Well, that part's good too. Yeah, because all the parents completely, they have megaphones to call to each other and call to the kids and stuff. The Bill Murray and his wife.
McDormand. Yeah.
Yeah. But and Bruce Willis' character, he's got some
cool.
where he's helps out. He adopts, right?
He adopts a kid at the end, yeah.
So that, and I like that part. I like the happy ending.
Yeah.
But so everything works out. Yeah, and they're married not legally, but before God.
Yes, they are married as two 13-year-olds at a Boy Scout camp.
Yeah,
so that's how it works.
What was his name? That was my favorite character.
Edward Norton.
Yeah, no.
Oh.
The one in the camp they traveled to.
Yeah, he's another famous actor.
I forgot his name, but I liked Edward Norton too.
Yeah.
I think, but I was...
Oh, Jason Schwartzman, yeah.
He's
I forget he's
hilarious.
also in the movie, yeah.
Yeah, he's hilarious. He's my favorite character. And I will say, like, when I first saw Eddie Norton, I thought, like, because it gives you, when you're an adult, it, like, the perspective shifts, because I was like, oh, is he supposed to be, like, playing like a kid or something? And then you saw, like, the kids, and I'm like, wow, they look way younger than, like, 13-year-olds. I was not expecting them to be the main ones, because I read, like, the synopsis on the back, But yeah, no, Eddie Norton's really good too. But yeah, Schwartzman's my favorite.
He shows up a lot in Anderson stuff. Let us now move on to your number one movie. Tell us about your favorite movie of all time.
My favorite movie is Memento, which you don't remember as much, which is a little awkward.
But also ironic. Fitting.
But this movie, the elevator pitch is a man who's an insurance adjuster, which is kind of important. His name's Leonard. One night, there's a break into his house and men are attacking his wife and kill her, but he kills one of them, another one beats him up and gets away, and this incident leaves him with a sort of amnesia where he can only remember things in like 2-minute intervals. He remembers everything that happened before, but after the incident he remembers it in 2-minute intervals, so it's him hunting down his wife's killer. I'd say that's kind of the elevator pitch, but that's not. That doesn't
like very severe memory loss in a sense.
Yeah, because I mean, there's a scene where the girl gets like a guy to spit in his drink and then puts it in front of him, and then that's where the scene ends, because that is supposed to indicate when he forgets it, and then the next scene he just drinks it up, no hesitation, right? Because he just forgets. So that's another important part. He takes pictures of people, of things, and writes little notes to himself, and has tattoos. Like he has a tattoo of the initial of his wife's killer, and like trying to think, because he has like a few clues all tattooed about him or on him that help him solve this mystery.
Okay.
But would be the basic.
Now this is a movie I didn't rewatch because I thought I kind of remembered it, and then we're talking about it before we were shooting. I'm like, oh my gosh, I did not remember how this movie even ended. Yeah. But tell us what progressively happened.
And part of the reason, and I was actually considering, I could have on this list easily put Prestige. I don't think you've seen it, another Nolan film.
Okay.
Where it's also, I don't think this is necessarily script as tight, but it's more interesting, I think, because it follows a horseshoe with how it tells the story, where you get the very last scene and then you go to the very first scene and then of the movie, and then you go to the second to last scene, and then it keeps going back and forth to where the middle is actually the end. But basically, I don't know, how do you start a discussion on this? It starts with him killing Teddy, who is the man that is actually helping him track down his wife's killer. But he matches all of these sort of clues that he finds, because he has a license plate written down. Teddy has that license plate. He has the same initials on his driver's license that he wrote down of the killer's one. So then you kind of find that out. You go back more. you see he has a Polaroid of Teddy that says, "Don't trust this man."
Yeah.
But in the beginning, it's kind of weird because the beginning they bounce back and forth between the end, like the later scenes and the beginning scenes, but the whole beginning is basically him in his apartment or hotel room telling the story of Sammy, who, when he was an insurance adjuster, this person had the same condition as him, and he thought it was completely psychological, not a real thing, and that this person was faking it, and it was difficult for his wife. So one day his wife, to test if it was real or not, or just psychological, had him, because he would remember to give her insulin shots at like noon every day, but because he had that memory loss, the wife had him do it and then do it again and do it again to kind of test him, and then he ends up killing his wife that way, this Sammy person. And he remembers this story that happened, but later, that's why it's hard to discuss, he finds out that he actually is Sammy, and his wife survived the attack, and he was the one that killed his wife through it, but he still tracked down the people that attacked him and got revenge years ago. Yeah. And this whole hunt, and we find this out in the middle of, the end of the movie, but it's the middle in terms of the timeline. Sure. Is the person that he's hunting down, he already got his wife's killer a year ago, and this is someone else that's like a drug dealer that Teddy, who I believe is a cop, wants dead. Yeah. Who he ends up killing at the end. But because he finds all this out and it's a lie, it upsets him. So he writes down the license plate on his arm to get a tattoo right away, so he remembers it as like the third clue, and he's setting up the own mystery for him. Yeah. So it's very convoluted if you haven't seen it. But like
in essence, the movie ends with him realizing that he was the one to kill his wife, actually, that he had kind of also sort of avenged her a year ago. Yeah. But because of his memory loss, he had forgotten that he had avenged. And so he was always seeking more vengeance. This had been kind of used by a man to target a drug dealer. In the end, instead of accepting that everything's over and that he had just forgotten, he still seeks vengeance. And so the movie ends with him choosing to pursue the cop who had used him, because now he's just seeking vengeance for the sake of vengeance.
Yeah. Well, and he's also upset that he was being used, even though that's kind of, I think, what he wanted in a sense before. So he figures even if it's the wrong person, it'll be like the right end in a way. But to me, I think it has some issues with the script. I enjoy it though, but like it makes, to me, and I guess that's part is he's an unreliable narrator, but I'm not sure how he remembers the story of Sammy if he has this condition. Maybe it is psychological and he's kind of making it up, but I don't know how he remembers this story, even if he's switching it to someone else, if he has these memory issues. Okay. And also there's a bit where he has a tattoo that says, "I avenged my wife," in the past. Like, I think it's a photo with the actual dead guy who killed his wife, and he says that, but then he burns that so he can go after Teddy when his new one.
But this is Christopher Nolan's first film, right?
No. Oh, okay. I want to say it might be his second. His first one's really good. It's in all black and white. It's called The Following. That one I also really like, and I put that in like my top 3 Nolan films. Really? With Prestige.
So not Tenet or...
I haven't seen I haven't seen Tenet. I haven't seen Odyssey. Interstellar. The Nolan films I've seen the Batman trilogy. I've seen is it called Amnesia? I want to say it's with like Al Pacino, and he's like a cop that
ends up, the Alaska one?
I think so. Yeah, and
I think Alaska's called like Midnight Sun or something.
No, that might be different. But he ends up killing his partner. And then he like isn't sure whether he did it on purpose or not, and he's trying to figure it out. I think Robin Williams is like the bad guy, the killer, but that's separate. It's not as good. But I've seen The Following, Prestige, this one, the Batman trilogy, Interstellar years ago, and like Dunkirk. I'm trying to think. I haven't kept up. Oh, and Oppenheimer, but I don't know. Okay. It's okay.
So then, why is Memento your favorite movie of all time?
I think it's a lot of talent with the script to make it so you can start from the very end and keep going back and back and back, and having and you should rewatch it, but having the person remember what happened and not really know what's going on, but then the next scene get enough context to kind of fill in how they got to that scene before, but also keeping them interested in what's going on. Yeah. and kind of that horseshoe. And I haven't seen it, but I'd be curious to watch it in chronological order. I think it wouldn't be as interesting, nearly as interesting if you did. But the way he does that, because it's the most structured way that he plays with time. Like when you talk about, or when we talked about Reservoir Dogs, that one they play with time a little bit. They do, and they definitely play with it in his first movie, The Following, and with Prestige. But that one, it's a bit more for what makes the story, adds mystery, and makes it flow better to his big reveals. But here, it's a structured way that he doesn't break from, but keeps it also works. Like, to me, that's very talented with the craft.
It's definitely because chronology is played with so much, you kind of have to watch it to like get so hooked and really enjoy it, I think.
No, it's hard to explain. I don't think it translates as well to explaining it what happens, but okay, you play with it.
I put it as my number 3 movie.
You gotta rewatch it. I'll be curious if that shifts.
I mean, it is really good. Below The Thing, because The Thing was just such the practical effects, I think, and then above Total Recall because of Schwarzenegger's acting.
That's rough.
But yeah, very, very good movie. I really enjoyed it.
You gotta go on a Schwarzenegger arc too. You gotta watch some of his films.
I could. But he's kind of acting the same way in all of them. So,
have you seen any of the Terminators?
No.
Oh my gosh, I still haven't watched all of them. I need to watch Commando. I think that's one of his, and like, what is it? Blood Simple or something? One of them's Coen Brothers.
Blood Simple is Coen Brothers.
Okay, then it's cut that. Yeah. No, I'm just kidding. I forget. But there's another one that I want to watch with him, I think.
All right. Any other thoughts on Memento?
Yeah. It's hard to explain with words, so just watch it.
Yeah, just watch it. Memento Mori. Our final movie we'll be talking about is my favorite movie of all time. The only other movie other than Moonrise Kingdom that I think is flawless, and that is Kiki's Delivery Service. Absolutely adore this movie.
That was my number 1 as well. I really enjoyed that.
Oh yeah. I mean, I haven't even seen it in a few years, but it just sticks in your mind so well. Kiki's Delivery Service is another Japanese animated movie by Studio Ghibli. It is about a young witch in a vaguely sort of European town. About a 13-year-old who goes off into the real world in order to start practicing her witch powers. Very much a like kind of happy-go-lucky fun sort of witch. She has her best friend, her cat Gigi, along with her. Her name's Kiki. She ends up getting paid by a local bakery to deliver goods on her little broom. And the movie is about her going around having adventures, maturing as a girl. This movie is just an absolutely amazing, perfect movie, in my opinion. That's the elevator pitch for spoilers. There's not even too much to spoil because it's not even too much of a plot-driven movie. It's more of a character and like internal dynamics-driven movie, where like the plot is like halfway through the movie, like she gets sick, and like Gigi, she can't understand her cat Gigi anymore because for the first half she could understand everything the cat said. And then she can't understand Gigi anymore. Gigi goes and meets meets a girl cat and marries her. Whereas
the cat gets married, they have a ceremony.
Do they? No, I don't remember that.
But they do have kids. It's just you say marries like the cats.
Yeah. They have just like Moonrise Kingdom. There's a juveniles getting married. No, at least in cat years.
Well, I'd say the part. And it ties into the story, right? But she loses fun with being a witch and flying, and it just becomes a job, and that's all it is. Like, she says that, I forget the boy's name.
I don't remember the boy's name either.
But you know, she, they have a fun little ride on his bike, and then they get to the beach, and then they're kind of sitting there, and she talks about how she doesn't like to fly as much, and then right when she does that, well, not right then, but after then she can't hear Gigi, and then she can't get on her broom and fly, and then she has to go to the woods with the painter to understand that you have to enjoy doing what you're doing in order to find the magic, and then the boy's in trouble, and then she gets her magic back and finds fun in it.
Yeah, it's the first 90% of the movie, there's no real action or plot, and the last 10% of the movie, this blimp's going off, and the blimp's gonna deflate, and the boy's gonna die because he's hanging onto the blimp, and she has to save him.
Yeah, it's just some of her misadventures as a delivery service, where she loses a stuffed animal that is luckily a black cat. So then she switches Gigi out, and then she has to go get it back, and then switch it, and I like Gigi too.
It feels like almost a TV show with like the kind of like chill plot structure.
Yeah, because it's just like a couple deliveries, one delivery to a party, but then the oven isn't working, so she helps the old lady start the oven and cook it, and just like endearing things that make her a nice character because she cares about people and stuff. And
what the movie is about, and you've already alluded to this, is like becoming an adult. And that's her express purpose to even go to the city in the first place. But about becoming an adult, the kind of whimsical carefreeness of childhood going away. Obviously, there's the more like explicit stuff, like the painter girl tells her to like you have to enjoy your job. She gets a job as a delivery service, finding her joy flying. One thing that the movie strongly uses to show this, though, is when she can no longer understand her cat. It's almost like losing like an imaginary friend or losing a favorite stuffed animal, where you can't talk to them anymore, and you have to kind of live this more like boring life that's less enchanted.
I don't think she even hears him at the end, because that was kind of when she gets her flight back.
Yeah,
but
she gets like her joy for life again, but she doesn't ever get that childlike sense of being able to understand her cat, right?
Yeah, but I would say part of it, though, is not completely losing the joy or innocence of childhood. It's kind of balancing the real life responsibilities with it, with being an adult. So, which is why it's nice. It's not saying just but it's not saying just be an adult and have no joy and go work your 9 to 5. It's like enjoy, have that innocent fun with what you do and with the interactions. Like she doesn't get rid of all of her friends or stuff, and
No. You put Kiki's delivery service as number 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's just a great, any age can enjoy it. I'd rewatch that in a heartbeat.
Yep.
Which, for something that is G, that one's because surprising, well, not surprising, but Princess Kaguya is rated PG.
I believe that, yeah.
Which, because it's a bit more adult. Well, this isn't, I wouldn't say this isn't adult, but I just think that this is, great. Any age can enjoy it, and it's not like you have to watch it with your kids to watch it, otherwise you're weird. Like, go ahead and watch it by yourself. It's a fun movie, but it's also got some good. It's
deeply gorgeous. I mean, the soundtrack and the animation style.
Well, and the city that they do it in is pretty beautiful. Yeah. Like how they animate that.
Yeah, Studio Ghibli, for its more standard style that Kiki's is in, it's like these beautiful, like, almost like what you'd see in older, and Japanese animation is very much actually a lot closer to early American animation than current day American animation is. They still, because you think of like Mickey Mouse, he's got these big eyes, right? Or you have these like kind of painted backdrops with like moving animated characters in the front. They actually retain a lot of this in Japanese anime today. And so there's just these like beautiful backdrops and like this picturesque like setting with like this beautiful music playing as like Kiki kind of calmly goes on her deliveries. It's a very peaceful, reassuring movie. Yeah. Yeah,
no, it's a happy one. There's nothing, I mean, I guess it's a little sad when she loses her magic powers, but other than that, it's very uplifting.
It's about growing up.
Yeah. It's exciting. And yeah.
Those are our top five list. Rhodes's was Memento number 1, then Reservoir Dogs, The Thing, Total Recall, Arnold Schwarzenegger version, American Psycho. Mine was Kiki's Delivery Service, Moonrise Kingdom, Inside Llewyn Davis, Princess Kaguya, or the full title being The Tale of Princess Kaguya, and Speed Racer 2008. For our finishing note, what are your 3 favorite directors and your 3 favorite actors?
That's like, a tough
all
one.
Time.
Actors who I would enjoy watching their projects no matter what would probably be Willem Dafoe.
Yeah.
Arnold Schwarzenegger. Picking a third one's tough. But directors?
Kurt Russell, maybe?
I don't know. I've only really seen a couple of him. Yeah. Like, I'm trying to think of a movie where I would go see it just for that actor. Oh. And that's a tough... Oh, this is kind of weird. Joe Pesci. He's not in a lot, but I love him. Except Casino. That movie's so depressing. That's the only movie. But yeah, I like Joe Pesci. But what about you?
Favorite actors... actors that have shown up in at least one of my movies, and in one case 2. Probably number 3 would be John Goodman, who's just in everything. But he's in a lot of Coen Brothers stuff, and I love that. John Goodman, number two. Number two is probably Tilda Swinton, who's just, again, in so many things. I'll get into my three favorite directors in a bit, but she is in all three of those directors' movies, which is really cool. And she's just such a strong actress. And then my favorite, which it used to be Tilda Swinton for number one, but my favorite is Frances McDormand, who's married to one of the Coen brothers in a lot of the Coen brothers films. She's in Moonrise Kingdom as well. Such a brilliant actress. So we'll put her to number one was her performance in Nomadland, the 2020 Best Picture winner, about a van lifer, kind of just like slice of life sort of stuff, which is a really good movie, and she's like the star of that movie. So. But who would your top three favorite directors be?
That's tough. Can you come back to me?
Okay, I'll go through mine. I almost want to put Martin Scorsese on this list.
I know, I was thinking about him.
Yeah.
But I think there's some I don't really care for, but some I really like. So that's why it's like tough.
Well, for me, Silence, which is an amazing movie, the most spiritually intense film I've ever seen. That was my number 6. That didn't quite make the list, but that's my favorite by him.
Yeah, Cape Fear by him was somewhere in the top 10.
He's also made a lot of movies.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen
a lot of iconic ones.
A good number, but there's a good number of iconic ones I haven't seen.
Yeah.
So,
my number 3 though is Bong Joon-ho, the South Korean director who's famous for making Parasite. Yeah. Parasite's an amazing movie, but I've seen Snowpiercer, which is also amazing. My favorite though by him, and this might be my top 10, is Okja, which is a Netflix exclusive about a girl with like a very big genetically modified pig and like trying to save the pig from the corporations. Mm-hmm. It's almost like Wes Anderson-esque, which that's my number 2, Wes Anderson, for his style and his whimsy. He's well known. And then number 1 would be the Coen brothers, if you can count them as one, which, fun fact, for a while they had to be counted kind of as one. I think they had to take turns taking the directing credit because Hollywood wouldn't give like best director to 2 guys, so they had to kind of like do that. But they've always, until recently, done all their stuff together. Do you have your top 3 now?
I'd say Tarantino. I enjoy a good bunch of his works. There's only a few stinkers that I'd say. Probably Paul Verhoeven, or I'm probably saying that wrong, but the guy that did Total Recall, because I just really enjoy RoboCop as well. Yeah. And
Starship.
Yeah, Starship's pretty good. He hasn't done as much, I don't think. I'm trying to think. I mean, it's kind of basic, but I might just say like Scorsese, because I like a lot of what I've seen, but I haven't seen a lot. But yeah, it's hard to pick for directors, because I tried to like delve into some, but but what are some movies, some honorable mentions that didn't make the list?
Honorable mentions,
like a handful.
Silence, Across the Spider-Verse, which I also mentioned. What else? Raising Arizona, a Coen Brothers movie. Let's see, Nausicaa and the Valley of the Wind, which is kind of the first big Studio Ghibli movie. What about you?
I'd say Cape Fear, Scorsese. Okay. Any of the Lord of the Ring trilogies. That one's easy. Fantastic. There's a few other. What's that? Shawshank Redemption. It's just an all-time classic movie. Have you seen that one?
No, I hear it's one of the best movies ever,
see
though.
That one. Trying to think if there's any from like a big director that I really like that I'm missing, but if I'm missing, it's probably not that. No, it's not true. But yeah, those are some of mine that I'd say that didn't make the cut. Obviously, Prestige. Prestige by Nolan. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I'm just not as much of a fan of his later work. That's why I didn't put him as a favorite director.
Okay. I could see that.
But his early stuff's really good.
Yeah, we'll see if the Odyssey's good. But thank you so much, Rhodes, for coming on the podcast.
You're gonna try to do a media podcast? You got to do new movies. No. Review the Odyssey when it comes out.
I'll have anytime I have a movie, lover on the pod, I'll talk about it. But I do have a tradition that every time I have someone come in person for an interview, I have them sign a Jack card. You'll be signing the Jack of Diamonds, and then I hang it up on the set. So here you go, Rhodes, for you to sign and for me to hang up.
I need a Joker now.
Yeah.
All right, Jack of Diamonds.
Just sign the front. You can find more episodes of Deck of All Jacks on YouTube and Spotify. Check us out. Thank you for joining us for our 4th episode. And thank you, Rhodes, for coming on to talk about movies.
Yeah, go watch them. They're fun.
Go watch some movies, preferably the ones on our list. All right, we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.